So, it was said here a few weeks ago that we don't talk about end times much here. I guess today's an exception. I have to say that that is correct, at least from my perspective. I don't talk about the end times much. I don't talk about the book of Revelation much. I don't talk about how things in the world are happening and how they equate to the book of Revelation much. There's a simple reason why I don't talk about such things
much.
That's a funny word, much. There's a simple reason why I don't talk about such things much. So weird. It's really simple. I can only give what Adonai gives. And that's the simple answer. I can only give out what Adonai gives. So there are certain things about end times that I feel passionate about. I feel passionate about the restoration of Israel. I feel passionate about the salvation of Israel. That in the end they will recognize Mashiach. And as Joseph was revealed to his brothers, and as Joseph took off his garments that made him look Egyptian and unrecognizable to his Jewish brothers, the day is coming when Yeshua will take off his Egyptian garments and will be recognizable to his Jewish brothers. And I know that the Jewish people, all of those prophecies about them being a blessing to the world will be fulfilled. That I feel strongly about, but the Lord never gave me anything about, rarely gives me anything about end times and how things that are going on in the world equate to what we see in the book of Revelation. If God gave me a vision of who the Antichrist is, I would share it. But I don't know if it's the Pope. I don't know if it's Obama. I don't know if it's Trump. I don't know if it's some Islamic radical. I don't know. I don't know. I see a lot of reports, and believe me, when I say I can only give what I'm given, oh, believe me, I'm given a lot of stuff to read. But I'll tell you, if Adonai gave me a vision of government conspiracy, if Adonai gave me the vision of the American government taking over, taking our guns away so they could take us over, if Adonai gave me a vision of putting us all into internment camps, I would share it. If Adonai gave me a vision of chemtrails in the sky, of jade helm, of all these things that I read, I don't know if anybody heard of any of these things. If Adonai gave me a vision of weather manipulation conspiracies, I would share it. If Adonai gave me a vision that America is Mystery Babylon, the Catholic Church is Mystery Babylon, or Islam is Mystery Babylon, I would share it. If Adonai gave me a vision about a chip or something like that, I would share it. But He doesn't. Oh, it shared a lot with me. But I have to say, and I say this I hope it comes across with humility, when it's shared with me, even though my flesh may go, whoa, yeah, that's possible. I have to say, and I say this with respect, my spirit is taking a nap. My spirit could care less about if the government is taking our guns. My spirit could care less who the next president is. My spirit could care less about all these theories about who Babylon is, about who the Antichrist is, and about things the government could be doing to put us all into concentration camps. I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. But my spirit could care less. In fact, it's really interesting. There's a verse in Isaiah. Read it. Isaiah 12. It says, those things that people say are conspiracies, don't say that they are conspiracies. Do not fear what they fear. The Lord is your fear. Do not dread what the people that are shouting conspiracy. Do not dread what they dread. The Lord is your dread. Isaiah 8:12 and 13. Read it. But if the Lord gave me a vision for it, I would share it. But I will tell you what He does give me a vision for. Which, these are the things that make me go, When things happen in the world that happen to equate with the Jewish holidays, with the biblical festivals, those are the things that make me go, And those are the things that I feel like I have to share so we can be aware. Now, I don't know what the Lord is doing. I don't know if these things are coincidence or not. But when I see 50 people getting killed on Shavuot, which is the 50th day, after 49 days of the counting of the Omer, and the shooter's name was Omar, I take notice. And you're like, Omar, that's not the same thing. In Hebrew, it's only the consonants that matter. So when I see these things, I'm like, that's really interesting. And I take notice of it. And I take notice when his last name is Mateen, the killer's last name is Mateen, so the consonants are MTN. And I know that in Shavuot in Judaism is called the day of Matan Torah. The day of the giving of the Torah. All in Judaism, Shavuot, Pentecost, is called Matan Torah. So both his first name and his last name has something to do with that holiday. It was 50 people, and when they counted 49, because he was the 50, it doesn't matter, because it's 49 days of the counting of the Omer, and then the 50th day was Shavuot. It's all happened on Shavuot. I take notice of these things. And I say, Adonai, what are you doing? This is why I took notice of the blood moons. We went through a cycle of blood moons. It was happening on Passover, then Sukkot, then Passover, then Sukkot. When these things happened, September 11th was just before Rosh Hashanah. And 7 years to the day afterwards, there was the economic collapse. And it was the same day that the economy collapsed after 9/11, just before Rosh Hashanah. I take notice of these things. But we can't just put our conclusion to it. We're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Like, the world's coming to an end. I'm reticent to put a conclusion to it. All I seek to do is make you aware of these things and to say, Adonai, we don't know what you're doing, but we trust you. I remember there was a story of a comet. Now, I can't tell you how many comets were sent to me over the years about destruction coming, and none of them happened yet. And I warn you with humility that I believe that God holds us accountable to the things we say. And we are called to say truth. We are not called to say conspiracy. But there's many people of God that are very quick to say conspiracy. And when these things don't happen, there's no repentance of it. It's just on to the next one. So I just humbly make you just urge you to guard what you say, and even what you write, and even what you share on Facebook. You know, like Facebook and social media is just modern day writing. You know, there's things that come out of your mouth, and then there's things that come from writing. And the Bible is all written word. All the stuff that we read from Paul, he didn't say, he wrote it. And sent it to his church. So, so there's power in not just the things we say, but the things we write. So I just humbly ask you to guard what you share. Because the body of Messiah shares a lot of conspiracy when we're called to share truth. So anyway, there was a comet back in like 2010-ish or something like that. The comet's name was Elenin. I don't know if anybody remembers the comet Elenin. that was a thing that made me go, why is this? Because every time the comet came into alignment between the sun and Earth, on that day, there was a major earthquake on Earth. This is fact. You can go even now onto NASA's website and track the comet. And right when you see the alignment, that's the day. There was the earthquake in Japan a couple of years ago. There was the earthquake in New Zealand. All of that was like in alignment. And the next alignment for this comet was on Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles. Exactly. So we watched, and we watched, and we noticed these things, like, Adonai, what are you doing? And of course we think, okay, it's going to come into alignment on Sukkot, and we're going to have some major earthquake, and it's going to be the beginning of a tribulation time. But Adonai's plans, even if these things are real, his plans, we don't know his ways. So what happened with this comet is it entered into something called, that they call not cosmetology. What is it with when they study the planets? Cosmology. No, I don't think it's astronomy, is it? Cosmology, right? Cosmology. What they call perihelion, which is when the space object comes to the face of the sun. And all of a sudden, Comet Elenin entered into perihelion, where it became in contact with the rays of the sun, and it disintegrated. And I was like, Adonai, what are you doing? We're all waiting for an earthquake here. But we don't know what he's doing. And maybe he was sharing us that devastation can come and all these things, but the Son of God, is greater than all these things. And evil, things that are meant for destruction, once it comes into the face of the sun, it disintegrates. Well, it wasn't the beginning of a tribulation time. So I just share this with you, like when we see these things and we go, okay, Adonai, what are you doing? It's easy for us to put a conclusion to it, but we don't know what the Lord is doing. So, a lot of people will tell me, but you need to watch. You need to watch what the government's doing. You need to watch what the church is doing. You need to see all these things. But again, I tell you that when I hear these things, even if my flesh goes, oh wow, that's pretty scary, again, my spirit can care less. Because God is raising up an army. And He is assembling His troops. That's His body. And wherever you are, if tribulation should come, if an end times thing is actually at hand, wherever you are, whether you know these things, whether you not know these things, Adonai is going to have you right where you need to be, because you are His army and He is the captain of the army, and He knows how to assemble you. It was a few weeks ago where I did on Microsoft Excel the formation of the army. Does everybody remember that? Yes. If you take the children of Israel, how they were encamped around the tabernacle, how they were meant to be encamped, and let's say you straighten them all into a single file, you had 150,000 on the north, 150,000 on the south, 110,000 on this side, and 180,000 on this side. It's in the shape, if you're a single file, it's the shape of a cross. Equal this way, short and long. With the tabernacle, where atonement happens, where the sacrifice is made, right in the middle of it. And that, I believe, is intentional. I believe that God in His divine wisdom had our Messiah crucified where His body was shaped, just like the children of Israel when they were encamped. And that is the army of